Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here in Göreme. I don't know how to pronounce this, guys, but we are by the so-called fairy towers of Cappadocia here in Turkey. Amazing natural formations where people have lived out of for years. Lots of caves around here. Stay tuned, you won't want to miss this video. See this is carved out here. It's pretty cool. I just got to the hotel here in Göreme. I still can't say the name, but anyway, you know you've come to the right place when you go to your hotel and your room number has one of these guys on it. As you're exploring the country of Turkey, looking at ancient sites and exploring ancient civilizations, it just works out so perfectly. All right, guys, we are in Göreme, Cappadocia, and we are finding our way around the town. We are just wandering and we have no idea where we're going and no idea how to get to certain places, so don't mind the strange nature of this video, but I think it's worth watching because there's so much history here and a lot of mystery as well, especially considering how close it is to places like the underground cities of Derenkuyu and all these others that are connected underground via these crazy tunnels that we'll be giving you a video on shortly. We went there and it was amazing, and now we're here in this part of Cappadocia around all of these so-called fairy chimneys, fairy towers, etc. So you can enjoy us scrambling to find or figure out where to go and how to get there, and up all these different alleyways. There's so much to do here, there's so much to see, so I hope you enjoy this video.
Good catch.
There's some prime real estate. A collapsed building.
The town itself, you probably see it all.
We are currently walking around Göreme? Göreme? I have no idea how to pronounce it, but we're having a hard time getting up there. So we've been told down this street and to the left. What left? I don't know, but there's a left down the street somewhere.
I remember.
So we shall take it.
There's another road that we were walking on.
Yeah, that's right. I saw some people walking from there. Yeah, there's a fork. We had to pick one. Pick this one.
We followed the Asian tourist.
That's what you tend to do over here. And there's a really nice car over there. And anyway. And return left. There's a bathtub in there. I don't know, guys. I think I should move here on my YouTube money these days. Might be a good choice.
Otobüs.
And we have found our way up. 3 Turkish lira. That's like 65 cents US. Not too bad. Shall I chance this? Or shall I try the road?
Do you know geometry?
I don't know. Do you know geometry?
No, but I remember one rule. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line.
So how does that affect us here today?
This looks straighter than this.
Straight up, but yes, it does look straighter. Let's go this way. I've done enough climbing lately. You guys can forgive me for this. I'm taking the longer but more reasonable route up this hill. All right, I was promised a scenic overlook, and I got a scenic overlook, though this isn't the top yet. The top is still up there, but it's already looking pretty good. I don't know. Pretty cool little place, and that's the thing about Turkey is practically everywhere you go, there's something to see all over the country. It's awesome. Well, you look at that. And some horsies. Eating what looks like sand. Pretty tasty. All right, we continue past the gift shops. Well, we've got some poor horses hanging around here. Anything for the tourist, right? I'm gonna stop being negative right then and there, just saying kind of sucks for them. They can't even sit down, but whatever. Another day, another adventure in Turkey. Everywhere you look, there's something. Today I drove probably a good 6 or 7 hours, and there were a million different kinds of terrain along the way. A lot to look at. And, you know, we missed like what looked like 100 or 200 tourist attractions coming to this place because it's impossible to see Turkey in 2 weeks, even if you're rushing from place to place. So I suggest picking one of the best places that you could possibly think of and just spending like a week or so there, because I mean it would take a while to not just go around all of these interesting tuffs, as they call them, or fairy towers as they call them as well, but all these shops and all these restaurants, and there's a million hotels, some great, some not so great. And I definitely suggest spending a decent amount of time before planning your trip. Just make sure to account for that. So I figure it's worth kind of explaining this site a little bit. As the culture trip online notes, this site has been formed over millions of years, and I'll get into some of the details, as they're called fairy towers, fairy chimneys, or tuffs, in a more scientific way of approaching the name. There's many names for it, but as the story basically goes, Cappadocia's famous fairy chimneys, a surreal landscape of carved out towering rock formations, change color with every sunset. But how did these strange natural growths emerge, it says? We take a look at the tale behind Turkey's most majestic rocks, and there's a lot to be said there, because if we're going to say it's the most majestic rocks, we have to take into account that there's just millions of different kinds of terrain here and incredibly majestic scenes everywhere you go in Turkey. That's one of the great things about the country of Turkey. From north to south, there's just so much to see, and I mean it's impossible to see it all. So carrying on, it says in this article, the rock formations that have made Cappadocia one of the most popular destinations in Turkey emerged due to a geological process that began millions of years ago. Ancient volcanic eruptions blanketed the region in thick ash, which later solidified into a soft rock called tuff. When the natural forces of wind and water erosion did their work, only the harder elements were left behind to form the fairy chimneys that can be seen today, stretching as far as 130 feet in the sky. And I am completely surrounded by these so-called fairy chimneys right now, and it's really, really beautiful. I can't tell the difference, honestly, between the ancient cuts in the stone and the new ones. I stayed in Cappadocia about a week ago, close to Derenkuyu. I can't even remember the town. It was way off the map practically, and we stayed in a really bad cave hotel, and then across the street was an amazing cave hotel, and so we went there for dinner, suffice to say. But nonetheless, while it was a nightmare, it was a really cool adventure, and it stretched out really far, and we saw some of these quite a ways away from here. You could see some of them behind me here. Those are the smaller ones, so it gives you an idea of how massive this site really is. But anyway, as it continues in the article, however, it was also human ingenuity that has given Cappadocia its magical aesthetic. During the Roman period, persecuted Christians fled to Cappadocia, more specifically the town of Göreme. Oh man, I will never get this right, I don't think. I'm going to get so many comments. And soon came to the realization that tuff was a useful, malleable material. The inhabitants set about building a network of handmade caves, living quarters, churches, stables, and storehouses, all dug into the soft rock. Today, there are still obvious signs of past lives within the honeycombed network of hand-built rock the stables with handles used to tether animals, walls with holes meant for air circulation, and blackened walls that were once the kitchens. Underground cities also had to be built due to the possibility of hostile forces discovering their refuge. Now, it's interesting that you mentioned that because we went to Derenkuyu, close by, an underground city, one of about 250 in the region, and there seems to be an alternative story to that site because we investigated. We went to Derenkuyu. I don't know which video I put up first, probably this one, so stay tuned for that. That'll be a really interesting report, and we really went in depth there and climbed through 3-foot, sometimes tall tunnels on our hands and knees, basically. But we found a lot that seemed to show that they weren't preparing for invaders, and it might be a much older site than claimed by the mainstream academics of society. But actually, it might have been to protect against cataclysm, or there's just a big question mark. That's the thing about a lot of these places. You don't know for sure, and I don't like jumping to conclusions and saying this is what happened. We just know that there's a lot of evidence that proves against what we've been told happened in a lot of these places. So we have underground cities all over the place. Like I said, about 250 of them around this region. And meanwhile, we have all of these examples of, these circular doors at Derenkuyu that form or fit in the doorways so that you cannot get in, and we keep invaders out. But the problem is there's ventilation ducts everywhere that would allow invaders to easily get past all of those doors by dropping a rope. You could say there's booby traps. Sure, we could think of that as a possibility, but they'd have to be pretty good booby traps to keep out an invading army. So that is kind of throwing the idea up in the air. And of course, these people talked about, how to avoid the coming cataclysm like the one that came before, and it's considered to be the first place that people settled after the flood. You know what flood I'm talking about, ancient Armenia, Mount Ararat, that kind of stuff, Noah's Ark. But regardless of if you believe that story or not, there was a great flood around that period. So it makes sense to actually date these places back further, and just the erosion and the chisel marks alone and how they've eroded over time says a lot about that. But we'll go into that in that report. But it's interesting to see close by these places. Obviously, they weren't hiding too well when they were. You could see the holes in these rocks. Any invading army would see that, and it would actually capture their attention, not dodge their attention. So that is questionable. Anyway, carrying on, as it says, almost 10 stories deep and connected by narrow passages, these subterranean cities could hide as many as 10,000 people at a time. Ventilation shafts were disguised as wells, while large rolling stone doors were put in place to protect entrances, as I just mentioned. The churches of Göreme are also worth a mention because of the beautiful frescoes that have survived the passage of time. One of the best examples is the Dark Church of Göreme, a monastic compound built in the 11th century, whose walls are covered with colorful and intricate scenes from the New Testament and stunningly well preserved. So there's a few interesting points here. It says that it's a World Heritage Site now here in Göreme, and it is overwhelmed with tourism, but you know what? It's an interesting place, so they're going to take advantage of people wanting to see their town, of course, and it is an incredible sight to behold, so no critique there. But anyway, I wanted to go into a few of these things with everyone because I think it's important to know the facts about a lot of these places all over the world that just stun people. And I think a lot of it is a big question mark, and why and how and all that kind of stuff. And we should be continuing to ask those questions because they aren't properly answered. There's a lot of people out there that jump to conclusions, but science is an everlasting quest for answers, and most answers usually lead to new questions as it so often goes. So this is a really incredible place, and you see these holes in these rocks everywhere, and I think that there's no shortage of attention on the site. I would like to see the latest studies. It tends too often to be the case that people, you know, they have these answers from 100 years ago and they cling to those answers. We're just kind of running around town as fast as possible. We don't have enough time to spend here. We might spend the night, it looks like, because the sun's about to go down. But I would highly suggest everyone come out to this place and check it out for themselves. No shortage of things to do, and everyone should stop being so scared of Turkey, because I've been going all around and there were a couple slightly sketchy situations, but they're so minor that seriously I've had the same sketchy situations in the United States or Canada or elsewhere. It's a beautiful place, so much to offer, and also insanely cheap to be here. Insanely cheap to find things to do around here. So anyway, I figured I'd give you guys a rundown on this, and I am basically just wandering around. We are on top here and we're going to make our way down soon enough, and a vlog is always in the books. I think it's important to keep everyone aware of what is going on, where we are, and why. And a big shout out to Fred, the donor who awesomely brought me out here to see this incredible landscape. I'll never forget this place. It's a really beautiful place all over the country, from, like I said, north to south, west to east. A million things to do and a million things to see. Josh Friedman is doing a live stream right now from Cappadocia. I did one from Göbekli Tepe. If you haven't yet, go and subscribe to his YouTube channel, Josh Friedman. F-R-I-E-D-M-A-N.
Incredible scene up.
I have to admit, it kind of feels like I'm in a Star Wars movie right now. You guys know what I'm talking about? So what do you guys think? Is there more to the story? Is there more that I'm missing? Let me know in the comments below, and tell me what else I should look into out here in Turkey for obviously the next time I come out, because we are leaving in a couple days, but there's so much to see that I'm gonna need some help here. I look online, there's a million things that pop up, and I need to prioritize certain places next time I come to Turkey. So let me know what you want me to see, what do you want me to report on, and what do you think of these crazy stone formations here? Are they natural, as I say? Do you think they're man-made? I don't think they're man-made, but I mean, let me hear your theories, and I'm really interested to hear what you have to say about this site. What do you think of this place, Josh?
Well, it's a very brief visit to Cappadocia in this town of Göreme, or whatever it's called. But from the brief visit, it looks like it lives up to the hype. I've heard about it, I've seen photos of it for years and years and years, and this doesn't disappoint. It's really beautiful, and great weather to boot.
Yeah, to boot. We're out in a boot, with that said, and it is.
You're out in a boot.
Yeah, he's
I'm out and
American.
about.
Yeah, whatever. And I completely agree. It definitely lives up to expectations, and then some. Because there's a lot to see around here. Like I mentioned, there's a lot of shops, there's a lot of restaurants, and that is what we're gonna do right now. So I'm going to cue myself signing out of this video, and yeah. So again, press like right in the comments below, and I appreciate it, guys. Until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change. place to ourselves. And this is what I wake up to in the morning. Okay. Like what you see here, Wham! Don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We cannot do it without you guys. Every donation is extremely, extremely appreciated as we're getting incredibly shadow banned. We've lost 80% of our audience since January of 2019 and counting. They are ripping us apart here on YouTube, and the only thing we could do in the meantime as we prepare for the next big step is to ask for help from the viewers that support our free information that we try to post on a daily basis. You can also find us on Subscribestar, where just $1 a month, that's all it takes, $1 a month is all it takes to truly make a huge difference. If everyone gave $1 a month, it would change everything for independent media, and we could win this information war, and we can defeat the mainstream medias eventually. And of course, on Subscribestar, we post subscriber-only content that you'll only see on Subscribestar. So make sure to pledge there, become a patron. That makes a huge difference, guys. And also, don't forget to check out our Bitcoin address below in the comments and description, as well as on the screen for you to scan if you please. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on the alternatives. We will likely be deleted by YouTube in the next 2 years. It's already happening on a vast scale, so make sure to find us on float.app. That's flote.app. At Josh Sigurdson, as well as at Wham, W-A-M. Float.app is replacing every social media, and I mean, it's just incredible the opportunities it provides for not just creators, but for the average person who wants to get away from these nannies telling them what they can or cannot see. They plan to replace Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, Tumblr, Reddit, and Patreon. You could subscribe to us on Float and pledge with cryptocurrency. It's really innovative. We are also on BitChute at World Alternative Media, as well as so many others, Minds, PocketNet. You can find us at World Alternative Media on Instagram. There's many options. And finally, don't forget to join us at Anarchapulco 2020, the famous event, the best Liberty event known to mankind, other than perhaps Anarcho Vegas 2020. There are 2 major events coming up that we are extremely excited about, and you can use promo code WHAM, that's W-A-M, and save 10% on your tickets to these legendary conferences. There's so many amazing people speaking there. You won't want to miss it. So make sure to support in any way you can, even if it's just sharing our videos, pressing like, pressing to be notified. Anything helps, folks. You are the change you wish to see. Thanks for watching, everyone, and until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.